Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, it looks like we have a few early starters. Beth, Joe, how are you? I'm going to be doing a little bit of testing over the next sort of 10-15 minutes. We're not starting for another 19 minutes now. But if you can hear me, just add something in the text box just to the right of the video. And yeah, it'd be great to know that you can hear me. You can see the slide. It should be up on your screen saying transform your big business mistake into money and success. The date on there is a little bit wrong though. So yeah, if you can hear me and you're on, just say hello to me so I can double check everything on my end. And like I say, we're going to be getting going in about 19 minutes. So no urgency. Go make yourself a cup of tea. All is going to be fine. I'm really excited to do this. Okay, hello all. We are 10 minutes away from starting. I'm seeing a few people online, so welcome. Carolyn, Joe, Beth. If you can hear me and if you can see the screen, okay, please just leave a little message in that little chat box to the right of the video. If you've got any issues whatsoever, either just leave a message in there or give me an email at matt@turndog.co. I'll be checking my emails leading up. We're going to be starting in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to put my microphone back on mute so you don't hear me tapping around the keyboard and just doing a little bit of this and that. But I'm really excited to share this with you guys. So I will be seeing you again in a few minutes. Cheers. Okay, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's a rather chilly evening here in Yorkshire. We're going to be getting going in around about 5 minutes time. There's already some early go-getters though online, so thank you so much for joining me. If you can hear my voice right now, and if you can hear the screen, please just put a big juicy yes in that comment box to the right. It should be working, so please do that. I'm just going to be putting the mic back on mute for another few more minutes. I'm just finishing up a few bits and then we'll get going. But I have a special prize and surprise for you early go-getters, people who are here early and on time. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'll see you very, very shortly, guys. Cheers. Hello, good evening, everybody. Beth, Carolyn, Alan, Ryan, Joe, among a few of you, welcomes. Thank you so much for joining me. Maybe it's afternoon where you are, maybe it's morning. Here in Yorkshire, it's approaching 7 p.m. That's right, nearly 7 p.m. here in Yorkshire, England, which is where I live. We're going to be getting going in just a few seconds. And because you guys are early, and because you guys are on time, I have a very, very special little surprise for you soon. But before we do anything else, I'm hoping you can just add a quick yes in the little chat box so I can make sure that you can hear me, that you can see the screen. There should be a slide in your screen right now saying transform your big business mistake into money and success. Please, please, please do that. Add a quick yes in there if you can hear me and if you can see me. If your comment isn't going live because I can't actually see it from my end. I can't see how this page is looking. And you come across any issues whatsoever, you know, the sound going down, whatnot, please just add me on Twitter. I'm at turndog_million. Send me a quick tweet on there. I am listening on Twitter. I've got that page open on my laptop, so I'll be able to check that. So if you're having any issues with the chat, just send me a quick tweet or an email. I will be checking things. So yes, like I say, it's now 7 o'clock here in Yorkshire, England, which is where I live. But I am interested in where you live. So before we get going, please add where you are in the comment section. I'm going to wait a few more minutes to allow the stragglers to come online, which is great because it means we get a little bit of one-on-one time. Exciting, yes. So yeah, add where you are. Like I say, I'm in Yorkshire, England, but where in the world are you? What time is it? Is it cold? Is it warm? I want to hear from you. Add it in the little chat icon or tweet me at turndog_million. Let me know where in the world you are. We're going to be getting going in just a few minutes. I'm really excited to share this fantastic workshop I've been working on. It's called Transform Your Big Business Mistake into Money Success. It's all based on the work I've been doing for the success mistake. And over the next hour, you're going to learn how to spot your mistakes before they happen, the process successful people go through to transform failure into success, the secret difference between successful business people and those who aren't and only wish they were. You're also going to learn how 4 successful entrepreneurs overcame big time failure, and also my 3 top tips you can start using today to start turning mistakes into success. But before we do that, I want to give you early folk a chance to grab a free copy of The Success Mistake before everyone else comes online. We're going to hold off on the presentation for a few more minutes to allow those stragglers to jump on board. So let's do a quick giveaway, shall we? I have 2 copies of The Successful Mistake to give away to the first 2 people who send this click to tweet. Simply type in that short URL and the first 2 people who show up on my Twitter feed get the books. I'll be in touch after this workshop to get your details. So do that now. It's tdog.co/sm-tweet. That's tdog.co/sm-tweet. Add that into your URL right now. It'll take you through to a quick to tweet. Add it. It will show up on my Twitter. And the first 2 people who appear on there will get a lovely copy of The Successful Mistake. I am very excited indeed to share them with you. So yeah, do that if you would like a free copy of A Successful Mistake. Like I say, I'll be out in touch afterwards so we can sort out the address and everything like that. So, and if you've got any questions, as I keep saying, please add them into the box. If you can hear me, put a big fat juicy yes. I want to hear from you. Put it in the chat box and also tell me where in the world you are. So we're going to be getting going in just a minute. We're going to wait it probably 2 more minutes before we start. And then those who are late, they're just going to have to miss the beginning. But I'm going to just repeat that giveaway one more time. So I have 2 copies of The Successful Mistake to give away to the first 2 people who send this click to tweet. tdog.co/sm-tweet. Add that into your URL. The first 2 people who show up on my Twitter feed get a copy of The Successful Mistake. I'm talking no postage, no nothing. I will be in touch with the first 2 people after this workshop. I will get your details. I'll get your address. And once the book is ready and out there, I will share it with you free of charge. And I want to do this before everyone else jumps online because, well, you guys are on time. You're not late. That means a great deal. So well done. That's awesome, guys. That's awesome. Okay, we are going to get going in about 60 seconds because there's going to be people who still jump online, but I can't wait forever for them. Oh, no. So we're just going to get straight in there. Just a second. But before we do, I just want to say, if you have any questions along the way, please add them into the chat. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of this workshop. I probably won't answer any questions during the actual presentation, but I will be looking at them afterwards. Oh, Alan, can hear you loud and clear from Colorado, USA. Alan, thank you so much for joining me. A big welcome. I'm guessing it's rather chilly in Colorado too. It's pretty chilly here in Yorkshire as well. But we're going to get going. But if you've got any questions along the way, just add them into the chat box and we will get to the Q&A at the end of the session. But we're going to now get going. Okay, so you've just been entering the thing, and if you're unsure about what the success mistake is and what this book is all about, well, lucky for you, I'll be going into that really soon. Oh, yes. And in fact, we're going to go into that right now. It's now 5 past. We're going to start getting going. Okay. Okay, we'll get going, and those who are late can catch up as we go along. I'd like to begin this live workshop by welcoming you and not focusing on me or the book or what we're even going to cover. Instead, place the focus onto you. Who are you? Why are you here? Who is this workshop for? Who's it going to help? I mean, that's why you've taken time out of your busy schedule, right? You want to learn and grow and better yourself and your business. You want to learn and grow and better yourself and your business. If that's why you're here, add a big giant yes in capital letters in the comments box. Beth from South Dakota, snowing hard here. Welcome, Beth. Sounds great. Hi, Ryan. I hope all is well. We're getting yeses in, guys. We're getting yeses. Of course, you want to grow and you want to better yourself and your business. That is why you're here. That is ultimately what you're taking time out of your busy day to do this workshop. Of course it is. You're here to get massive value, and that's why I intend to give you. There is a special offer at the end of this workshop, but that only comes after I give you the keys to my castle, because I've learned a lot whilst writing The Success Mistake. And my purpose these days, what I get up for each day, is to help you. It's to help entrepreneurs who desire to build a life on real success, the kind that means something. It's to help business owners who are making decent money, but are left somewhat unfulfilled. They're happy, kind of, but just know there's more to life than cash in the bank. It's to help those of you struggling to build momentum, because this entrepreneurial game is tough, man. But if you believe deep down you're good enough and that you can do this, I can help you. If you're ready to give up or you expect handouts on the plate, then I can't help you. The Success Mistake and this workshop and everything else that accompanies it as well, it can help so long as you believe deep down you are good enough and you can do this. And 90% of people who own their own business don't appreciate this big thing that we're going to teach you during this virtual, this idea that you need to appreciate and fulfill your version of success. But we will focus on that later. So if any of those things, what I've just told to you, sound like a pretty good idea to you, add "that's me" turn dog in the comments. If that sounds like you, add "that's me" turn dog into the comments. And if that doesn't sound like you, well, it may be a long workshop for you. We're getting some yeses. We're getting some yes, sirs. Yes from Ryan. Yes, sir, from Alan. Absolutely. It's great to hear from you guys. Of course you do. This sounds like you. You ready to do this? Okay, so that covers you and why you're here. But why the hell should you listen to me? Who am I? I mean, there's lots of advice and books out there already, so I take time out of your valuable schedule to listen to me. Well, I don't like long introductions because you can find out all you need to know about me on my website, turndog.co. This workshop is about offering you mass value. So let's not bog it down with my life story. But to give you the quick lowdown on myself, here it is. I'm an author. I'm a storytelling fiend who loves to delve into the stories of others and share them with the world. I'm also a father to this cute little kid called Kid Turn Dog. And for my upcoming book, The Successful Mistake, I interviewed 163 inspiring and successful entrepreneurs about their biggest mistake and how they transformed it into success. In doing so, I've discovered a 7-step process that successful entrepreneurs take during times of hardship, which I'll share with you today in this workshop. I've also unearthed a few big differences between successful people and everyone else. They aren't some hidden secret you'll never reach, but chances are you don't have the successful mindset you crave yet. You soon will. You soon will. But before you do, it's important to know how the successful mistake came to be in the first place, because it not only explains the book, it explains my story too, and it explains why this book, and indeed this workshop, matters to you. As I woke up on the morning of my entrepreneurial adventure, that first one thing stood between success and me. I'd spent weeks planning for this big day, built a business plan, and had a giant to-do list awaiting me. I thought of everything, but I didn't anticipate this particular roadblock. Would you like to know what it was? It was me. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to move or get up. All I wanted to do was bundle my head in the pillow and quit before I began. You can't do this, I whispered. You're not good enough. Go back to that comfortable job where they tell you what to do each day. It's easy as good. I felt worthless. This wasn't how I planned to spend my day, my first day as a free man, a self-made man, a writer, an entrepreneur who took life into his own hands. But the thing is, the successful mistake was born out of this horrendous morning, because the only thing I could bring myself to do was email friends who had been there before, those who already owned a business. After a few days of coffee chats and Skype calls, I'd heard numerous stories and reassurances, but I noticed everyone shared tales about mistakes, failure, and when things went wrong. But they weren't embarrassed or ashamed, rather proud of how they overcome them and built success on the back of them. It was at this point I knew I had to write the successful mistake, although I couldn't quite predict the journey it would take me on. As I share the rest of this workshop, you'll begin to appreciate that journey and how mesmerizing it's been. I don't wish to keep it to myself. I wish to share it with you. I believe it will help you. So what exactly can you expect over the next 20 minutes or so? Well, to begin with, an intro into successful people and how they approach mistakes, failing, and adversity. Plus, we'll be doing another giveaway, an awesome one indeed. I'll then introduce you to the 7 stages of your great mistake, which is rather exciting indeed. And then we'll look at 4 entrepreneurs. The first, a look at Dan Miller, the founder of 48 Days, and one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. I'll share how Dan literally built a thriving business on the back of losing it all, as in he owed the IRS a lot of money, that kind of losing it all. We'll then peek into Jason Gennard's story and how he self-sabotaged a multi-million-dollar company, but thankfully for him, he did. Yes, that's right. And finally, I share tales from Desiree East and Corbett Barr and how they literally ran away when big time failure hit. But as often is the case, they needed this in order to figure out what they could best offer the world. We'll then do our main giveaway, which has a value of over $3,000. So you don't want to miss that one, trust me. And then we'll also look at the big difference between successful people and unsuccessful people and why this matters to you. And finally, I have 3 tips for you, the type of tips you can implement today. And then to finish up, I have a special offer for you, as well as announcing the grand prize winner. And then, of course, as always, a Q&A session where I'll stay online for as long as you have questions to ask. Does that all sound good to you guys? If that sounds good to you, add a big juicy yes in the comments. I'm hoping it does, because I am really excited to do the rest of this. Okay. So before we do everything else, an intro into successful people and how they approach mistakes and failure. You don't need me to tell you that mistakes are part of this entrepreneurial journey. It comes with the territory of taking chances and doing what the majority of people only talk about. But knowing this and living it is another idea altogether. The thing is, successful people fail. They make mistakes. Think of someone you admire right now, and yep, they've cocked up many times before. They've fallen flat on their face. They make the same mistakes as you. They're human, just like you. Yet they're successful and have adoring fans. So what makes them different? We look at these differences in more detail later, but one of the biggest things I've noticed through my interviews, remember, there are a lot of these, 163 to be precise, is that successful people, entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, they appreciate each time they make a mistake or they fail, it's a lesson. It's a chance to learn and make sure they do it better the next time. They realize they're successful, not despite of their failures, but because of them. That's right. They realize they're successful, not despite of their failures, rather because of them. And above all, they're conscious of this and the process they go through when they fall flat on their face. And whilst writing the successful mistake, I've realized everybody goes through the same 7-stage process, no matter how big or small the mistake is, and no matter how big or famous the entrepreneur is. This is a 7-step process we all go through, and it's more than likely familiar to you already, although I doubt you have ever seen it in this context before. But before we get to this 7-stage process, it's time for a giveaway. I have one copy of The Successful Person to give to the first person who sends this clip to tweet, tdog.co/sm-tweet. Simply type that short URL into your browser, and the first person who shows up on my Twitter feed right now gets a book. I'll be in touch after the workshop to get your details. This is a real book too. This isn't a digital copy. This is a paperback you'll be able to hold in your whole hands, and I'm not even asking for postage. So let's do it. Add that in there. We've already had a couple of people win beforehand because they turned up on time. In fact, some of them turned up on early. They were amazing. But we've got one more giveaway. So do that right now. I'm keeping an eye on my Twitter, and then I'll be in touch. Okay, we'll announce all the winners at the end of it. But let's get back into things. So do that right now. In fact, I'm going to take a drink of water. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. So type in tdog.co/sm-tweet. First person who shows up on my Twitter feed will get a copy of The Successful Mistake mailed to their house, free of charge. The first shipment, the same shipment that I'm going to be sending out to the people who actually appear in the book. Oh, that's good. Water. Who loves water? People love water here. I love water. Coffee and water. Drop of whiskey. That's basically what I'm made up of, I think. Okay, let's get going. So, what is the 7 stages of your great mistake I keep talking about? Well, simply put, it's shock, pain, bargaining, depression, the tipping point, reconstruction, and finally, acceptance. Now, you may recognize this. If you do, put a big fat yes in that comment section. Go ahead, do that right now. If you recognize this, put yes in the comments. Do you recognize this? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've seen this before. Yep, this process is often linked to death and the grieving after it. But what these 7 stages really represent is change. That's right. What these 7 stages really represent isn't death. Oh no, it's change. And change, be it a death in the family or a big juicy failure, knocks you out of your comfort zone. Change shocks you and unnerves you, and more often than not, you panic. You make poor decisions during the early stages of this process. You make a small mistake worse. But not successful people. Oh no. They're conscious of this process, owning up to their hardship so they're able to move through it as quickly and as painlessly as possible. But most of them suffered through it many times before they finally figured this out. which is why I'm so excited to share the Successful Mistake with you. Because it's a book that will help go-getters like yourself fast track the successful mindset. Now, I'm not going to go into huge detail with these 7 stages, well, because I've written an entire book about them. Simply put, we don't have enough time here. But I ask you to think of these 7 stages as we now turn our attention to 4 very successful people who built their success on the back of failure. They each go through these 7 stages, albeit in a rather different circumstance. And I'm excited to say we begin with the inspiring dude, Dan Miller. So who is Dan Miller? Well, in the interest of time, I won't go into his full story because, well, Google, right? And Google him you should, because if you're in a workshop like this, I'm positive you'll find value in Dan and his work at 48 Days. Today, Dan's a renowned speaker and coach and best-selling author, but it took some time for him to find the online world. For a long time, Dan owned brick and mortar businesses. And he was rather successful at it too. He knew people. He earned money. He lived the good life. But then one day, Dan decided to get into the gym business and did so not because of passion. Rather, he saw potential to make more money, which he did for a while. But then several things out of his control happened, including his bank changing ownership. All of a sudden, he found himself owing money and unable to get credit because the relationships he'd built up at the bank were no more. And long story short, he lost everything. As in, he owed the IRS a lot of money, that type of everything. He owed the IRS people, and he was close and arguably should have filed for bankruptcy. If we consider the 7 stages for a second, it's easy to imagine the shock, pain, bargaining, and depression Dan went through. A rough ride, to say the least, but Dan did something I feel most people would not. You see, Dan's successful. He appreciates what he wants from his life and what success means to him. So he refused to give up and take the easy option, which, quite frankly, would have been bankruptcy. No, he was honest with people and promised he'd pay their money back, even if it took him years. He not only kept his relationships during this hard time, but strengthened many of them through his honesty and transparency. He got a job in sales and he did what he had to do. He made some money, enough money, but soon realized that even on the decent wage he was, because he was an experienced salesperson after all, so he didn't find it too hard to find a job, it would take him decades to pay everyone back. So he took a step back and looked around, which in the 7 stages marks his tipping point. He found the online world, started to write and blog, and because he's an inspiring and talented dude, he's built an audience. He also had focus because he had to make this work, and he reconstructed his life. Stage 6, discovering his true passion to write whilst doing so, and helping fellow entrepreneurs like yourself. Something he only ever touched upon from afar in his previous life. As for stage 7, acceptance, Dan has a new outlook on life these days and lives a very different one to the past. He literally lost everything, but he needed to in order to find and appreciate his true calling. Of course, he could have taken the easy way out and only look in the here and now. He could have given up and worked for an hourly wage for the rest of his life. He could have hurt his relationships instead of strengthening them. But Dan knew his mistake, this giant failure wouldn't define him so long as he stayed in control of his life. So long as he stayed in control of his life. He owned up to his failure. He was conscious of it. He knew he had to remain in control of his decisions and not panic. A tough period in life, no doubt, but he refused to drown under those difficult first 4 stages that ruin so many lives. Moving on from Dan, I'd like to introduce you to Jason Gennard, the main man behind Mastermind Talks. Jason's another guy you should Google if you're not already a fan, because he's so amazing. Seriously, this dude rocks my world. Today, Jason runs intimate events, high-profile conferences, and is considered one of the best connectors in the world. He knows everyone. It's insane. But Jason's made his initial money in the ticketing business, growing his brand into Canada's 3rd largest ticket seller, basically a rival to Ticketmaster and the like. And he did well. He made millions. He made bank. He had the money and the life. But as Jason looks back on this time, he realizes he self-sabotaged a lot of what he built. I suppose he was going through the motions because he wasn't happy. But he should have been happy because he had money and success, right? Why the hell would it be happy? Well, this is where Jason's mistake began, but far from ended here. He self-sabotaged and got complacent and soon found himself with nothing. In fact, less than nothing. $750,000 in debt. He had little to his name, and the business he built would soon no longer be his. Again, easy to imagine the shock and the pain and the bargaining, blaming himself, maybe others, the depression. $750K in debt, there'd be depression, all right. But despite being in all this debt and having next to nothing in his account, he did something rather remarkable. Do you want to know what it was? He kept splashing out on these lavish dinners where he invited high-worth people and connected them with one another. He didn't sell anything to them. He didn't ask anything of them. He helped and that's it, despite having nothing. I remember asking him how he did this, how he had the balls. And he said to me, I realized the banks could take my house and cars, but could never take my relationship. Let's reiterate that for a second. I realized the banks could take my house and cars, but could never take my relationships. I realized the banks could take my house and cars, but could never take my relationships. Amazing, right? Despite hitting rock bottom, he kept his eye on the main prize. He thought about what all this means to him, which is what successful people do. They define what success means to them, and they let nothing stand in their way. And in doing these dinners and other similar events and slowly working his way back up, he reached his tipping point with what he needed to do. The story of his first Mastermind Talks conference is something. And I encourage you to listen to his podcast episode where he talks all about it. But this tipping point led him to reconstruct a new life around meaning, connecting with people and helping to connect others. Totally different to what he did. But this new life defines him so well. It led to acceptance, stage 7. And the world he lives today. But dare I say, none of this would have happened had he kept making money in the ticketing business. He was a success after all, so why would he walk away? He would also, I imagine, continue to be frustrated and confused as to why he wasn't happy. But believe me, Jason made some pretty big mistakes during this period. Some he had control over, others he didn't. But once again, like Dan, he refused to fall victim to those terrible first 4 stages. They destroy so many dreams, but when it comes to successful people, well, these 4 stages often define their success. They become successful because of them, not despite them. Excuse me, a little bit more water. Finally, I'd like to focus on 2 separate entrepreneurs who lead very different lives but went through a very similar ordeal. On the one hand, we have Corbett Barr, the founder of Fizzle, and a guy I imagine you've heard of. On the other, we have Desiree East, an artist and coach, 2 creative go-getters. Again, I encourage you to Google them both later. Starting with Corbett, he now lives a very online-centric life of blogging and the like. But not that long ago, he had a rather typical Silicon Valley startup with venture money and all that behind it too. He had lots of people working for him. He may even have had the next big thing. But due to the financial collapse, among other things, his startup failed. No money, no business, no next step. Again, the shock and pain and depression you can imagine, I'm sure. But what led to stage 5, his tipping point, was a very brave decision to travel to Mexico with his wife for 6 months. Oh yes, many would get a job or jump straight back onto the horse, but Corbett has a successful mindset now. So went in search for the right answer. He knew any answer he would make in the here and now would be forced at best. So he ran away from the situation, to be honest, but in the best possible manner. He cleared his mind and he opened his eyes and he met lots of people living digital lives. They introduced him to an existence he didn't think possible. Enter his tipping point. Life was never the same for Corbett after this, diving into blogging and podcasting and becoming one of the online world's finest. But it took his failed business to see it. And this happened to Desiree East too, who ran a landscaping business with her hubby in the grand old US of A. Not real estate per se, but linked to it. And as the housing market crashed a few years ago, so did their business. Again, they were left with nothing and had to move back home with their parents, and they faced a choice. And the one they took surprised most of their friends and family. You want to know what it was? They decided to go on a trip to Bali, one they'd always wanted to take. No money, no clue, no hope, and they went off to Bali. Real mature, right? Well, actually, yeah. Because Desiree didn't run away, rather ran towards and indeed searched for the right answer. Like Corbett, this trip cleared her mind and opened her eyes. Yes, she suffered through the shock and the pain and depression of it all, but this trip acted as her tipping point. It revitalized her art, something she'd let go of after school. She reconstructed in the same way Corbett did, turning to the online world and finding her tribe. All this led to acceptance for them both, a very different life to what both Corbett and Desiree once lived, but one they're 100% perfect for. Now, after peeking into the lives of these four successful people, I hope you can see how they all went through the 7 stages, although in rather different manners. They suffered and failed and made lots of mistakes, but the lives they live today are a result of this, not despite of this. It's because of this, people, not despite of it, which shocks many people because, well, we're encouraged to fear mistakes and failure, aren't we? They're terrible words after all. Those initial 4 stages, shock, pain, bargaining, depression, they ruin so many lives. This is the point so many people give up or quit or blame others, or worst of all, in my opinion, pretend the issue doesn't exist at all. But not successful people. Successful people go through these first 4 stages, but they tackle them differently to most. After all, here are 4 people who built successful lives on the back of bankruptcy and utter despair. They're not the only ones. I interviewed dozens with stories like these, some smaller, some larger. Just about all of them going through the same 7 stages, only to come out of the other side of things much better people because of it. I'm hoping you enjoy yourself so far. If you're getting value from this, please put a big fat yes in the comments. Please, please, please. Now, we're going to be going on, but before we do, it's time for our big, grand giveaway. Oh, yes. Before we go into the one big difference between successful people and those who only wish they were, because I know you really want to know what that is, I have today's grand prize giveaway for you, where one lucky person will win a successful mindset package that's worth over $3,000. And this rather epic prize will go to the first person who tags me in a Facebook post talking about how much you're enjoying this workshop so far. And if we're not friends on Facebook yet, well, you need to change that right now by searching for MatthewTurner.writer. So there you go. Head on to Facebook. If we're not already friends, type in MatthewTurner.writer. And then just tag me in it. Tell me what you're learning. Tell me about this workshop. At the end, I will randomly pick one winner, and I'll announce that winner at the end of this talk. But here's the thing. Whoever wins has to be there to claim it in the here and now. In other words, do not leave until the end of this workshop. I will be announcing at the end, but you need to be here. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to the next person. Do you understand? Oh, I'm getting some yeses, yep. Yes, thanks for the stories. You are most welcome. Let's do this. Thank you, Ryan. Let's do this indeed. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to go onto Facebook, tag me in a post. Should be popping up on my phone. And just tell me, just write a little bit of something. It's not going to go to the first person, so don't worry. I'm going to randomly pick somebody at the end. I will announce the winner before we leave. I think it's going to be a great time. I'm excited. I hope you get a lot from it. And I'm going to take another quick break. to have a quick drink. It's good water. It's still good water, people. I'll give you another 30 seconds to write your Facebook post and then we'll continue. And I hope you're enjoying this so far. I am. All right. I'm pretty sure you guys are on that now. You know how it all works. You know how to tag in Facebook. I'll be picking one lucky winner at the end, so make sure you get your message over there. Share it with the world, what you're learning so far, what you're enjoying. So let's now turn attention away from specific people and instead to the general sense of what it means to be successful. Earlier, I said how successful people are conscious of these 7 stages and that they don't see mistakes as a bad thing per se. They see failure as a lesson to grow, to improve, to better understand what they're doing and who they are. This is a key difference. And there are quite a few other key differences between successful people and non-successful people too. Again, we don't have enough time to focus on them all, but now you're part of this successful mistake journey. I'll share them all with you in the coming weeks, long before the book comes out, so you're way ahead of the curve. So all you need to do to learn all that is just to make sure you're opening my emails and read them. I'll share it. I'm going to open up the house to you guys. You're now part of this journey. I'm going to share it all with you. But I do wish to focus on what I believe is to be the biggest difference between successful people and those who only wish they were, and why this is 100% matters to you. I'm going to do that right now. You want to know what it is? Are you excited to know what it is? I'm excited to share it with you. Successful people define what success means to them. Successful people define what success means to them. Now, it may sound simple, but it's the truth. Most of us, and maybe you're one of them, spend our lives striving for someone else's version of success. You desire money and cars and job titles and houses, but why? You desire $1 million business, but again, why? The majority of people I interviewed for the book spent a long time making a lot of mistakes whilst doing so, working towards a version of success that meant nothing to them. And once they realized this and accepted it, they began to build and grow and become the successful folk we know. The 4 people we just looked at, they have this in common. Just about every single person I interviewed did too. And as I meet new people each day, I quickly see the difference between those who are successful and those who only wish they were. You see, those who have defined what success means to them, they wake up each day striving toward it and living happily through it. So when they do fail and make a mistake, they have the focus to stay calm and accept where they are in the 7-stage process. They work through it. They don't panic and make stupid decisions during the pain or the depression. They hurt for sure. They suffer, no doubt, but they work through it because they know there's more to it. They thrive and they transform even their biggest business mistakes into money and success. They thrive and they transform even their biggest business mistakes into money and success, just like Dan, Jason, Desiree, and Corbett did, and so many others. So with this in mind, what can you do today? You've just heard me talk a lot and you've listened to 4 inspiring stories from 4 successful minds, but you'd like something to take away, right? If you'd like actionable stuff to leave this workshop with today, add a big fat yes in capital letters in the comments. Go on, do it right now. I'll wait for a few seconds, let you do it. Pretty sure I know what the answer is. Pretty sure it's going to be big. Yep, yes, of course. Now, as I've said throughout, I can only do so much in a workshop like this. We only have so much time. After all, that's why I've written a book about it, so we can go into more detail. But I want you to leave with something you can implement into your day starting today. So my 3 biggest tips to help you step into the same mindset successful entrepreneurs share, and to better appreciate your mistakes and failures and hardship. and have the consciousness to appreciate where you are in the 7 stages of your great mistake, so you can grow and you can transform even your biggest mistake into success. Are you ready? The first step, my top 3 tips for you. First of all, ask yourself this question. If someone gave me $1 billion today, how would I spend the rest of my life? Seriously, spend 30 minutes today thinking about this and writing it down. You wouldn't need money, so how would you spend your days? Forever. What does success and happiness truly mean to you? Write it down. Seriously, write it down. Spend half an hour to write, just get it in there. You may be surprised at the answers you uncover. The next tip number 2, based on what you uncover with the above question, make one change to your average day. Maybe it'll take you a few days to truly figure out what success means to you. That's fine. In honesty, it's an ongoing question and answer session, but the point is to be conscious of it, to ask it in the first place. And from this new outlook, you can make changes in your day to bring you closer to it. Maybe it's waking up early, spending more time with family, selling clutter and all the stuff you've acquired over the years on eBay, or maybe getting rid of a toxic client or friend or partner. Just choose one and start small. Make a change and take a step in the right direction. We can all do that. We can all do this very, very soon. And the third and final tip, share something that scares you with your audience. Maybe this is a mistake or failure or simply something you're worried about. The point is to be human and to admit you're not perfect. To show those fears and insecurities that have you so scared of mistakes and failure in the first place that they do not control you. And by sharing these with your audience, with your customers, you show yourself to be strong and transparent to them. This one thing will bring you closer to them. Maybe it's an email or a blog post or a telephone call to a single client. Whatever it is, take a deep breath and do it. Don't hesitate or keep it within. Now, of course, these 3 tips only scratch the surface. But if you do these 3 things, you'll edge ever closer to the successful mindset those you look up to have. You'll also be better equipped to turn a bad time into a great one. And best of all, you'll further understand you and your business and what you're all about. Sound good, guys? Sound good? I believe you can do that. Those are 3 tips every single person on this call can implement over the next few days. I honestly believe that. Okay, now that brings us to an end of this workshop, and we'll jump into some Q&As in just a second. But to recap, we've just looked at how successful people approach mistakes, failure, and adversity. I've introduced you to the 7 stages of your great mistake. We've peeked into Dan Miller's story and how he overcame a failure, looked into Jason Gennard's story and how he self-sabotaged a multi-billion-dollar company, but thankfully for him, that he did. And we also shared the tales from Desiree East and Corbett Barr and how they literally ran away from big-time failure. We then looked into the big difference between successful people and unsuccessful people and why this matters to you. And finally, my 3 tips to help you apply all of this starting today. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask me questions, absolutely anything about the book or about the people that I've interviewed or about this whole idea of thriving and turning a bad time into a good one. But first, we are going to announce the winner of the grand giveaway prize. Plus, I have a really amazing offer for you, an opportunity I encourage you not to miss out on. And like I say, we have that great Q&A session ahead. But first, let me just give you a quick rundown of what's happening right now with the Success Mistake. The book is written. I'm currently editing it and preparing everything for a big May launch. We have lots planned, and you're now officially part of this epic journey. And just before Christmas, we started something rather exciting, this pre-order campaign, which gives a go-getter like you the opportunity to get huge value at a crazy discounted price. And I have the craziest of prices at the bestest of value to offer you right now. And one of the opportunities is only valid if you order before we end tonight's broadcast. But before I unveil what that is, let's announce today's grand giveaway winner. I'm just going to jump on Facebook really quickly and check who's tagged me. And I'm going to pick someone at random, okay? I'm just going to pick someone at random and we'll see who it is. I wish you luck. But please let me know if you've enjoyed this workshop. Just add it into the little Q&A, like little chat box. I'd love to hear if you've had a good time. Okay, here we go. We've got a couple of people. We're looking good. We're looking good. I'm going to pick someone. All right. Well, I'm happy to say, guys, do you want to know who the winner is? Do you want that drum roll, please? The winner be Adi Whitworth. Adrian, congratulations, my good man. Thank you for leaving that post. Thank you for being on part. I'm going to be getting all the details that you need. Oh, yes. You are going to be the man with the plan. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, yeah, that's it. We did that giveaway earlier for a successful mindset package worth over $3,000. And Adi Whitworth has won it, which will make more sense in a few minutes when I explain what this package actually includes. So I suppose I will do that. So like I said, I'll email you after this workshop and get your details and such. But you may be intrigued to know what the successful mindset package actually consists of, which not only will I go over now, but offer you a rather ridiculous deal that only available for those on this workshop. Okay, so this right here is the special no-brainer package I have for you. Like I say, the pre-order campaign is currently ongoing and you can order a similar package for $177. But that doesn't include the special access to the invite-only workshop or the one-on-one strategy call with myself. A full hour or two, not some 15-minute thing. So let's break all this down, shall we? If you take advantage of this no-brainer package right now, you will get 5 signed copies of The Successful Mistake, the advanced print run too, real copies from the first print run. The same print run those who feature in the book will get sent to their door, plus the press and other leading authority figures. Now, that's what it's like being an early adopter, guys. It brings to the table, right? It's pretty cool. Now, why do you need 5 copies when you haven't even read the book? Well, isn't that a risk? I mean, what if you don't like the book in the first place? Okay, trust me, you're going to love this book. It's my bleeding masterpiece. And the reason you need multiple copies is because books are meant for sharing. Ask yourself this. Do you have clients, staff members, friends, mentors, fellow peers who would get value from a book that not only shows you how to turn mistakes into success, but shows you what it means, what it takes to have a successful mindset like those you admire? Because if you know people like that, this is your chance to share a valuable book with them. They'll appreciate you and remember you. Simply put, you'll be in their good books, and pun intended. Thank you very much. So as well as the 5 copies, you'll also get super early advanced access to the Successful Mistake Mind package. And what is this, you ask? Well, you see, the book itself only plays a single role in a much grander vision. An important role, don't get me wrong, but the book itself isn't the end result. Because where the book inspires you to be successful and think like those you admire do, it doesn't give you all the tools you need. Oh no. But this alone, and having those tools, it only takes you so far. As such, I soon discovered the book alone would only do this journey a certain amount of justice. It would help and inspire you, but it wouldn't give you the complete keys to your castle. And although some may be satisfied with being inspired, I knew others would desire more, would need more. They would want to take what they learned in the book to the next level, which is why I created the Successful Mindset package, a package that includes access to the Successful Frontier Mastermind Group, a community of go-getters like you that won't only push you to be your best, but introduce you to those you need to know. You'll also get access to the extended interview series where I revisit 12 of my favorite interviews from the book and ask them to delve deeper. These interviews will only be available to those who get the Successful Mindset package. You'll also get exclusive access to the monthly workshops we'll be running as part of the mastermind group, with special guests that focus on the topics and tools you need to develop and implement your new successful mindset. There's also VIP access to special workbooks and material that I'm reserving for my work with corporate partners. And advanced early bird access to the Successful Mindset course. This alone will be sold for $997 in the future and will expand on everything in the book as well as so much more. Plus, lots of other extras like audio books and special partner offers and loads of things we haven't even thought about yet, but will continue to add to this package in the coming weeks and months. And by signing up now, you lock yourself into everything we produce from here on in. And if the copies, the book, and the Successful Mindset package, if it isn't enough, you also get a one-on-one strategy call with me where you can ask me anything you like, and I'll make sure you leave our chat in a position to implement these new ideas straight away. Plus, you get access to an invite-only workshop I'm running soon with a few friends of mine and a few special guests. This will be an intimate affair and one sure to offer a lot of value. Like I say, you can order the no-brainer package via the pre-order campaign already, but it'll cost you $177. And this does not include the one-on-one strategy call or the invite-only workshop. All of this is worth over $4,000. And as I say, we'll continue to add to this package in the coming weeks and months. And come launch day in May, if you were to buy all this separately, it would set you back at least $600, which in itself is a bit of a bargain when you consider all the value and off it, right? But you won't spend $600 today. No, you won't even spend $177. If you order right now via this link, you'll get everything we've just talked about for $147. All I can say is you won't get a better deal than this moving forward. This price and this package is for those on this workshop. We'll do similar packages in the future and other workshops, but this price will go up. Simply put, the pre-order campaign is for early adopters. What we're offering right now is for early adopters. And I wish to reward you early adopters with massive value at a discounted rate. And that's that. If you're interested in that, visit gum.co/sm-no-brainer to order. That's gum.co/sm-no-brainer. And a quick note, if you're thinking about doing this later, that one-on-one strategy call is only valid to those who order before we stop recording this evening. So if you want all of the value, you need to order now. So once more, visit gum.co/sm-no-brainer. You know it makes sense. And this, we are now ready for the Q&A section. Whew, what a rush, right? That was a good time, guys. I hope you found a lot of value in that. I really do. This is the first time I've actually done this workshop. I'm really excited to finally do it. I know that I'm going to improve it over time, but I'm pretty happy with where it is. But it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what you think. So please, in the chat box, add what you think of this, if you got value, if you would like to learn more. Have you got any questions? If you've got a question about myself, about the book, about what it was like interviewing 163 people, if you want me to go deeper into the 7 stages of a successful mistake, or maybe you want to delve deeper into those 3 tips and how you can start getting into the successful mindset today, or maybe you just got more curiosity about writing or publishing a book, anything whatsoever, please add them in the box. I'm going to hang around for another 5-10 minutes. As long as there's people on here asking me questions, I'm going to stay online. That's my promise to you. So please ask your question. I'm going to take another glass of water. I'm rather parched after all that. Oh, and fantastic. I've got a message here off Salafa. Thank you, Salafa. Attending my very first online webinar hosted by author Matthew Turner, enjoying it greatly. Unfortunately, my network isn't on my side, but it's better than nothing. Thanks for feeding my mind. Well, I'm sorry that the feed is continuing to go down, Salafa. That is unfortunate, to say the least, but hopefully you're getting lots out of this. If you've got a question right now, come on, people. There has to be a question. Nobody's got a question for me. I mean, I'll just start talking about my day. If not, I've got a little bit of time, so I'll just start talking. Okay, guys, have we got any questions? We all being shy? Well, I'm going to answer a question that I get asked quite a lot over email and over social media. Oh, okay, we've got a question. I'll leave that for a second. We have a question. When you were interviewing subjects, how did you start seeing the 7 steps of the process? And that comes from Bonnie. First of all, Bonnie, thank you so much for the question. And what a good question it is. So when I was interviewing the 163 people, how did I begin to see the 7 steps of the process? I'm not going to lie, Bonnie, it took a while. I didn't come into this really knowing how the book would be structured. I interviewed a few people. And after a while, I started to see certain patterns, things like hiring mistakes and money-related mistakes, pain which led to emotional pain versus financial pain, etc. But I knew that wouldn't make the book. And it was a long time into the process. It was probably a good year into interviewing everybody. It took me pushing on about 18 months to 2 years to interview all 163. And it was probably about a year in, so about halfway. I'd probably done 80 or 90 interviews. And I just literally spent a morning thinking, right, how am I going to structure this book? What is it going to look like? And funnily enough, I'd been writing my second novel, Tick to the Talk. I'm not going to go into huge detail on Tick to the Talk because it's got nothing to do with success and mistake other than what I'm about to share right now. But Tick to the Talk, it surrounds a character who's going through the final months of his life. So he's very much going through these 7 stages of grief. And I realized that people were going through similar stages, not necessarily like be linked to grief, but they were doing similar things. You know, it started with shock, it led to pain, then they started bargaining, you know, denial, things like that, before hitting depression, before eventually kind of accepting it and coming to terms. And I did a little bit more research into these different stages. I found out, at first I thought there was just 4 or 5, but I found out there was 7. And I found that it's not so much to do with grief, it's more to do with just this general idea of change. And once I saw that, once I realized it was about these 7 stages linked to change, I was like, yes, that is how the book is going to be structured. Because when you make a mistake or when you fail, it is all about change. You are literally forced into a position of change. Everything shifts. And it's hard, like you panic. When things are changing, your feathers are ruffled, and that's how ultimately shock leads to pain, leads to bargaining, to depression, and so on. So that's ultimately how I kind of came about through the 7 stages. Even though my non-fiction and my fiction are very separate, I do find it quite curious and exciting, but both of them overlap from time to time. So thank you so much for that question, Bonnie. It's a really great one. Hopefully that answered the question. If it did, please say yeah. But like I say, it did take a while. It probably took a good year to finally bring that to fruition. Okay, got a question from Alan Lamberg. Alan, thank you so much. What would you say enables a person to recognize the tipping point? Can you relate a personal example in moments of crisis? It might be difficult to see through that fog of depression. And then followed by that, Ryan says, thanks for everything today. You are most welcome, Ryan. It's been a pleasure having you here. Alan, what an incredible question. I'm just going to repeat that again for everyone. What would you say enables a person to recognize the tipping point? And can you relate a personal example? Because in moments of crisis, it might be difficult to see through the fog of depression. Absolutely. And that is ultimately the difference between a successful mindset and someone who isn't quite there yet. People with the successful mindset are able to take that deep breath, that step back and go, oh man, I'm panicking right now. I'm in shock. I'm in pain. I'm depressed. They need to take a step back and go, right, how do I get through this? How do I get to that next stage? What is that tipping point? The tipping point can look and can be so many things. Sometimes it's a momentary thing. One of those things where you have a conversation, someone says something to you, bang, it hits you, and it's like an epiphany. That aha moment, bang, tipping point. You now see the light. You move practically from the state of depression into the state of reconstruction in the course of like minutes. But sometimes that tipping point can take weeks, months, just little bits, like little signs here and there, which kind of just point you towards that right idea of like, okay, now I see where it's going. And to give an example of myself, I'm actually going to use like when I realized this idea of what it truly means to be successful. I gave you my 3 tips, asking that question of, you know, trying to define what success means to you. Successful people, they define what success means to them. They do everything they can to make sure that they adhere towards that. They work towards that version of success. And this took me so long. It was just over a year ago. It was about 14 months ago, just about November time, 2014. And I'd been listening to these stories for a long time. I'd started writing the book, so I'd been going through with numerous stories, going through all, making notes, listening to a lot of things. I'd been living this book for a couple of years at this point, and I'd still not seen it. But I'd had certain discussions, and I'd listened to certain interviews, and over the course of weeks, months, there was just this nagging sign of people who were successful understood what success meant to them. They defined it for themselves. Whereas I still was living this lie. I was striving towards a version of success which meant absolutely nothing to me. I wanted to earn a certain amount of money because why? I wanted a big house, why? And it was a tipping point. That was my tipping point in terms of what success means to me, because in that moment when it clicked, even though it took weeks, months even, for it to click into place, it wasn't a moment. It wasn't an aha moment. It was an aha couple of months. And this all came about. And then I sat down and I started asking those questions. If I had $1 billion, what would I do? I started actually thinking what success means to me. And over the next couple of weeks, I started doing it. And I realized I didn't want a big house. I like minimalism. I don't need huge numbers of subscribers. I don't need all this money. And over the course of weeks, by the time Christmas came, so a few weeks down the line, I just had a completely different outlook on life. I just didn't look at it in the same way anymore. It was huge. It was huge. So that was a massive, massive tipping point for me, a really big one. And I think it kind of shows that a lot of people think those tipping points come in a moment. And sometimes they do. And there's examples in the book where there is a moment and it's like, bang, it's like you see the light. But often that tipping point, it takes quite a few weeks, sometimes months, for it to click together. There's numerous circumstances that come together to form it. But when it happens, and you start actually asking the right questions, and you start seeking that right light, then you ultimately move on into stage 6, which is all about reconstructing your life based on new ideals. That is when you start turning the bad into good. And the idea is like, you're going to go through those first 4 stages, successful person or not. But successful people, they whoosh through those first 4 stages, get to that tipping point, and then they just glow in stage 6 and 7. Whereas those who aren't successful tend to trudge through those first 4 stages. So, Alan, I hope that answers your question. If it does, please add a quick yes into the comments. Has anybody else got a question? We can hang around for like another 5 minutes. And I'm more than happy to answer a few more. Regarding the book, regarding those 7 stages, anything else whatsoever, writing, publishing. I'm so excited for this year, by the way, guys. I've been working on the Successful Mistake in some capacity for coming up to 4 years. It has been a true labor of love. And I'm getting so far into the editing now. It's great. I'm going to be involved in an editor really soon. I just cannot wait to share this book with the world. It means an awful lot to me. I have no idea how many people it'll reach, how many people will like it, what people will think. But I do believe this is going to change lives. I do. I honestly believe that. And I'm so excited to share it. And I love that it's now grown away from just being a book, but about a grander movement. I'm so excited about the Success Mindset package and everything that comes with it. Okay. Is there supposed to be 1 S in the word on the book cover? Bonnie, good question. The answer to that is yes. I'm trying to be clever and ironic. But my question to you is, do you like it? Because I've had it torn. Like, some people love it, go, oh, that's clever, I like that. But other people are going, huh? No, I don't. That kind of might put people off. So I've actually been using the pre-order campaign, and I'm trying to get people's advice. So please, in the comments, let me know whether you like the fact that the Successful has an S missing on purpose and you find it somewhat ironic and clever, or if you don't like it. Because I need to make a choice between now and launch, before the books are printed, whether that book cover is going to remain as it is or change. So please let me know. Alan, thanks for sharing. It sounds like you learned to ask yourself what you truly need versus want. Yes, That's it, Alan. And it is. It's about asking yourself what you truly need and what you truly value rather than what you kind of think you want. We go through life ultimately striving towards other people's success, other people's happiness, because your parents want one thing, or school on the other, or whatever it is. You just kind of, you have an idol and you go towards about success, but it's not about that. It's about what it means to you. It's about striving towards something truly valuable to you. And I think once you start asking those questions, you start seeking that, that's when you can start having that successful mindset. It won't happen just overnight. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, of course, but you cannot start finding the answer until you ask the question. Bonnie, well, I would pick one or the other. On your website, it shows up as both. That definitely looks like a mistake. That is a very good point. And yes, come launch day, everything will be consistent. That's something I will be very much trying to do. And yeah, I haven't quite decided whether it should be 1S or 2, maybe 1S, but have an S hovered over it so it looks like it's been edited, or 2 S's and 1 crossed out. It's a bit open. So if you don't want to share with it now, but you want to share over email in the coming days, please do. Please let me know if you've got an opinion on that. I am going to hang around for a couple more minutes. So has anyone else got a final question? Let's answer one final question. Does anybody want one final question before I go and clock off for the evening? It's been a long day. Have you had a great day? Let me know what your day's been. It's 8 o'clock, just 8:05 here in the UK. So depending on where you are in the world, you may still have a few hours left, but let me know how it is. Oh yeah, stick on S on top like a carrot. That's what I'm thinking, Bonnie. That's what a few people have said to me. So we'll see. I'm excited to share. And the great thing about all this now, you've signed up to this workshop. You've been part of this. You're part of this journey now. So I'm going to share these designs. I'm going to be asking your advice. This truly is a collaborative book, people. Just because I'm one writing it doesn't mean that it's only mine. I want it to be yours too. And to do that, I need to involve you. So I'm going to be asking your opinion throughout. Okay, well, let's do this one final. Bonnie, thank you for this other question. This will be the last one we do. You're an absolute superstar. How did you initially have the idea for this particular book, The Mistakes of People? Well, it all began ultimately on that first morning that I became an entrepreneur. I started working for myself. Because I had this huge to-do list and I had all this intention to work and I didn't. I froze. I was scared. I didn't know where to start. And like I said in the beginning of the workshop, I did the one thing that I could bring myself to do, and that was to reach out to people who already had businesses. And what I soon realized after listening to their stories over Skype and over coffee over the coming week, just about every story, just about every bit of advice they gave me, it wasn't about a time they succeeded or saw a big win. It was a time they failed and suffered through a mistake. And I just was like, why would you do this to me? I'm already scared. I'm already fearful. And here you are telling me about how you've cocked up. It made no sense to me. But then it was after my chat with my buddy Arnold, and he was probably the 4th or 5th person I spoke to. And it just clicked into place. I was like, man, people are wearing these mistakes like badge of honor. They're not embarrassed of them. It's like they're where they are because of those mistakes, because they learned. And I started thinking about how I always approached mistakes. And I remember having conversations when I used to work at a camp in America with my camp director saying, I want to give the young staff members an opportunity to fail. I want them to make mistakes, because if I'm not giving them that opportunity, they're not fulfilling their potential. They can't grow. Yet there I was stuck in this mindset of I don't want to do anything because I'm scared of making a mistake. I'm scared of failing. And I was a bit angry at myself and I was a bit confused. And I started to think, well, if I'm going through this, chances are a lot of young new entrepreneurs are, a lot of business owners, a lot of bloggers, podcasters, writers, creatives, artists, people who are not quite there yet. And when I thought about the entire world of self-employment or, go-getting entrepreneurship, whatever you want to class it as, there are a lot more people who are still trying to figure it out than those who have figured it out. So if I could reach out and interview and get the advice of a couple of hundred people who had got it figured out, and then create a book and share it with the ones who haven't, then I just felt like that wouldn't only be an amazing journey for myself, but an incredible, valuable piece of content for other people too. So that is how I came up with the idea for the book. I just felt like there were people out there who had learned lessons from their mistakes, after a while, I learned that it was this idea of a successful mindset. I didn't know about it in the beginning. I did. I do now. But yeah, it all began with this idea of, are we able to share, peek into the minds of a successful person and what they do, how they overcome failure, how they overcome adversity. And I'm a bit of a selfish person with it all, because I was like, you know what? No matter what happens, no matter how many copies of a book sell, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to take a great deal of value from it. I'm going to meet a lot of people, and it's going to help me along my journey. And I still don't know how successful this book is going to be, but I'll tell you something. I have taken so much value from this adventure, and I'm just excited to share it with everybody else. Bonnie, thanks. You are most welcome, Bonnie. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for jumping on this workshop. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. That's all I can say. You have been awesome. I am now going to bid you farewell. If you have any other follow-up questions, I'm going to be sending you emails in the coming days. Just ask. Reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook or email. Ask your questions. Don't be a stranger. I want you to be part of this. Oh, and I think, I'm not sure if people are still online, but if we are, I can tell you who has won the copies of The Successful Mistake earlier. Ryan Zyman, you have won a copy. And Alan Lambert, you have won a copy. And like I said earlier, AD, you have won the grand prize, the Successful Mindset package worth over $3,000. Thank you all for doing the tweets and such. Man, it's exciting. I've got so much love for you all right now. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Have a great evening, guys. And like I say, if you are interested in getting a super valuable version of a successful mindset package, gum.co/SM-no-brainer. I will do you a favor for the next half an hour. If you buy in the next half an hour, I will make sure you still get that one-on-one strategy call with me. So jump on there if that's of value. This price will only go up. There's no, I hope you've got a lot of value from this workshop anyway, but I hope you'll delve deeper and be really part of this. So yeah, gum.co/SM-no-brainer. It's on the screen. Get that, check it out. Good times, guys. I'll be speaking to you soon. Cheers.